Suppose you people have installed now this XAMPP server, then in the search bar now, if you type XAMPP, you should see this app appearing. You have to click on this app. Now you can see here in this app, there are different components are there, out of which we are interested in this Apache and MySQL. This Apache is this web server component, and this MySQL is this MySQL server. Now see, by default, when you start it for the first time, this Apache will be in stock mode, and this MySQL, they are not running actually. As I said, these are nothing but some software component. These softwares are not in executing state. So for that reason, you have to start them. It means you are actually executing these softwares. Okay. You are turning them on. It means now your computer is capable of acting as a web server, and also it has a database server installed in it. Now you see here, once we have this database server, now what is the next thing? What is the thing that we are interested in? Now the first step that we want to do is we want to create the database, as well as we want to create the tables inside the database. So for that reason, what you do is, once you start this MySQL server, you click on this admin button. If you click on this admin button, then in the browser, it will open a new window, and that window will be the graphical user interface to the MySQL server. Now see here, this window is open. Now on the left hand side panel, you will be seeing something like this. If you are using it for the first time, you might not see this test, student DB, players DB. I mean, see here, these are some databases that I have created already. Okay, so in your case, you might not see these players DB, student DB, or test. However, you're going to see these information schema, MySQL performance schema. These folders or these tabs will already be there. So once you open this graphical user interface, you see here, as I said in our database server allows you to maintain multiple databases. You can think it of like this players DB, student DB, test. These are these DB1, DB2, and DB3. So now for our application, we want to create another database. So you can create a database very easily here. That is, we want to create a database here. So using this graphical user interface, you can create a database very easily. What you do is you just click on this new button here. And once you click on this new, you have to specify a database name. Say for example, I'm calling it, say, attendance DB. Say I'm calling it attendance_DB. Okay, this is our attendance database, and without changing the rest of the thing, you just click on create button. One database will be created. The name of the database will be attendance DB. So here, if you want to see it in this diagram, then what we're doing is, what we have done is basically we have created one new database here. We have created here one new database whose name is, the name of this database is attendance DB. Okay, this database we have created. Now inside this database, right now this database is empty, and inside this database we want to create those 7 tables, this table 1, table 2, table 3, like that, all these 7 tables that we want to create inside this database. Now see here in attendance app, if you see right now, there are no tables there. Our goal is to create the tables inside this attendance app or attendance DB. Now see, there are different ways of creating tables inside this database. One very simple and straightforward way is, if you click on the database, it will allow, this graphical user interface will allow you to type a name of table here. Say for example, you write here table 1 and how many columns that you want in your table. Say for example, just for the sake of an example, let it be 4 as it is, but you can change it. Certainly you can make it 3, 2, 4, 5, 10, whatever you want, and then you will be clicking on create. As soon as you click on create, it will ask you for some further details, like what is the name of the first column, what is the data type of the first column, what is the land, and other stuff there. This is one way of creating a table inside a database. But we are not going to take this approach because we are programmers, right? We are more interested in doing things programmatically as much as possible. So the closest way of creating the tables in the database will be, another way will be, which is very much closer to doing it programmatically, will be to writing a command here, SQL command here, that will create the table. So yes, certainly for that reason you need to know what is the command to create an SQL table in an SQL database. So there are plenty of resources. You can do a Google search if you want. You can you can use even chat GPT also to get the get the command. But the best thing is you know that by yourself. Okay, these are simple things. So the command will be create table. This is the command, and okay, it might be very tiny, you might not see it, but now it is create table, and then you have to give the name of the table. Say for example table 1, and then you have to write these open and close parentheses. Inside that you have to specify the details. Now see, whenever you are creating a table, certainly in that table there will be a few columns, so you specify them. So for example, one column is ID. Then what is the data type? What is the data type means, if you are a computer programmer, you already know what is the data type. Means what type of data you can store in that column. Is it only numbers? Is it strings? Or is it some other type of data, like say for example DOB? So all these different data types are supported by SQL. So you can do a Google search if you want to know more about it, but I think these are very simple things, so you can immediately grasp it. ID, and this is actually the name of the column. This is the data type of the column. And then I said you that we want this. I said you that the table, these IDs, say for example student ID or faculty ID, there will be some integer number automatically assigned to each row there, or each student or each faculty there. Okay, so if you want to achieve that, what you can do is you can make use of this auto increment feature there. So ID is a integer column where values will be automatically incremented one by one. Like the first row will have the value 1, then second row you insert, it will have the value 2, like that. And that's all. This is about your first column. And also at the same time, I want to make sure that this is my primary key column. So these are the details. So once you specify the details of a column, then you will put the comma, and then you will specify the details of the other column. Say for example, the other column is, say for example, roll underscore number. This is a string, I mean alphanumeric character. So for that, the data type that you can use is varchar. Okay, varchar, and then you have to specify how long maximum you want it to be. So for example 20 characters maximum. And I also told you that the roll number should be unique, so you can apply a constraint like unique constraint there. So these are the details about the second column. Then we'll put the comma, and then the third column details. Say for example the name of the student, it is varchar. Say for example name could be maximum of 50 characters. You can decide it by yourself, and that's all. For the last column you don't need to put any comma. So done. Now this is the table that we want to create. There will be 3 columns. The first column will be ID, auto increment. It will be the primary key of the column, and then roll number will be the second column, name will be the third column. Let's create this table. You will be creating the table by clicking on this go button. As soon as you click on the go button, you will see this message. If everything is fine, you will see that okay, the table has been created. Now you can see immediately on the left hand side panel, inside this attendance DB, this table is created. Now if you click on this particular table, what you will see is the structure of the table. I mean, by default it shows you like select star from the table, but what we are interested in right now is the structure of the table. So you'll be clicking on this structure tab. I'll show you the structure of the table. You can see here, this is the structure. You can see this yellow key symbol that represents, okay, that is the primary key of that column is the primary key of the table. Roll number showing, this gray color key symbol you're seeing here. It means that is a unique key column. It means no 2 rows will have the same roll number. And then name, and these are the data types, and these for the time being you can omit them. Okay, so this is the structure of the table. This is how you can create a table. Now if you need another table, then what you will do is you'll go to SQL, and then you will write another table, like say for example create table 2, and then whatever it is, whatever the columns that you want, you can put them there. Okay, this is another way of creating tables, and another elegant way of creating tables, where you'll be writing the commands. But you can do much better. We are programmers, so we want to do everything programmatically. So rather than executing these SQL commands from here, from this SQL command prompt, what we can do is we can write PHP programs, and through that program or using those programs, we can execute SQL commands. What I mean is, you see here, right now, whenever I write a command here in this command prompt, when I type a command like create table listing in this command prompt, it is as if we are writing the command here. We are directly accessing this MySQL server, and then we are instructing this MySQL server execute this command and all. We're doing it sort of manually. But what we can do is that instead of doing it manually with directly accessing this MySQL server, what we can do is we can write some PHP code here at this point, and then using that PHP code, we can interact with this MySQL server, and then we can execute any command that we want. And see, although at this point of time, we can certainly write the commands here and we can create the tables here. But at some point of time, when we develop the application, we will need to know this thing, like how do a PHP program connects with the database and then execute some SQL command there. For example, one situation you assume, say when the client is actually typing their username and the password. Do you remember here? Like I said you that one form will be there where the faculty will type the username and the password here. So, and at some point of time, the faculty will click on this go button. So what happens there is this username and the password will, this username and the password will be sent. The user will type the username and password from the client machine, and then through an HTTP request, it will receive by the server. It will be received by the server, and in turn, the server will execute some of the PHP program written here. We'll write those programs. Okay. So those programs, then it will be the responsibility of those programs now to connect with the SQL server and check whether that pair of username and the password, they are valid or not, whether they exist in the database or not. So at that point, we will not have these access, right? For each and every users using this system, we cannot actually write the no, you please wait, let me write the command here and check whether your username and password is there or not. This is impossible, right? So for that reason, we need to know that thing anyhow at some point of time. That is how from a PHP program we can actually execute an SQL command. So since we have to know that, why not know it right now and then start doing the thing that way only? That is the motivation. Now let's see how we can achieve that thing. For that reason, what you have to do is actually, first thing is that you will be going to your My Computer C drive. If you have installed XAMPP properly, then what you will see is you will see in your C drive you will see a folder named XAMPP. XAMPP. You will open that folder, and then inside that again you will see another automatically created folder whose name will be htdocs. You have to open that folder also, and inside that folder you will be creating a new folder, and the name of the folder you can keep anything, but that will be the root folder for our application. So for example, I'm calling it, say, attendance, ATTENDACE, attendance app. Say I'm calling this folder as attendance app. Okay, now that will be the root folder. Now once we create that folder, then what you will do is you go to your like you search for this app, Visual Studio. And one thing I didn't say you is that I'll be using this Visual Studio code editor. This is just a code editor. Okay, I mean, you can certainly manage without using any code editor except this notepad. Also, just by using the notepad also you can manage the task. But Visual Studio Code Editor is a very smooth, if you want, like that smooth experience, if you want to enjoy your coding time, then you can use this Visual Studio Code Editor. And certainly I don't have to say this thing to you. I know, like, if you ever have done any programming, then certainly you have used Visual Studio Code Editor. But anyhow, you go to Visual Studio Code Editor, and then when you open it for the first time, you will not see anything actually. You will see something like this and this welcome screen. Then what you have to do is you have to go to File, and then you have to go to Open Folder, and you open the folder that you just have created. So we have created this inside the C drive, inside this XAMPP folder, inside this XAMPP folder. we have inside these htdocs, we have created this attendance app. So we'll be selecting that folder and we'll be opening that folder. Now inside that folder right now nothing is there. So now see here, since we're building a project, then we can create all the files inside the same folder in a very messy way. That will also work. But the thing is that maintaining such a code base is not very easy, especially when you want to you want to continuously work on your project. You want to continuously modify your project, upgrade your project. That time it's a good idea that you keep everything in an organized way, in whatever the way you want. So what I'll do is that I'll inside this attendance app, first I'll create a folder whose name is, say for example, database. Inside this folder I'll keep all the database related code. That's my goal actually. And inside this database folder I'll create one PHP file. Now these PHP files are the programs which will be executed by the server. So let's create a file called database.php. Okay, up to this point things are easy. Okay, I just have created a database I just have created a PHP file there. That's all. Now our goal is I have created this PHP file. That is done. Now the next thing is that we have to write some code there, some PHP code there. And let's first see the first step, the first thing that we have to do using the code. The first thing is we have to create from the program, we have to actually sort of create a tunnel to the MySQL server. We have to create this tunnel, and creating that tunnel is you can call it like making a connection to the PHP server, to the database server. So in MySQL and using PHP, making a database connection is always it's a standard procedure. Okay, and how do you do that? You do one thing, you just make a Google search. Okay, you open Google, and then there you write say you type PDO and PHP, and you specify the website, say for example W3 Schools, or you can check it out in other websites also like Geeks for Geeks and like that. So here you see a PHP MySQL connect to database. You can read this blog if you want. There are two different ways of doing the thing. One is MySQL I extension and PDO option, that is PHP data objects. Okay, I'll be following this PDO option there. So this will, how to do the thing, you don't have to install anything. Okay, so there are some example codes you can copy from there, like see example PDO. I'll be copying this block of code. See here, this is a standard procedure. You don't have to invent anything here. You don't have to put your logic there. Nothing you have to do basically. Okay, you just have to change few things according to your own need and it will be done. Now, what are those few things? Let's first paste the code here and see it in details. The server name is localhost. Like as long as you are working on the same computer, I mean, see when we develop the thing, our web server and the database server, they are on the same computer. But when we deploy the thing, deploy our project in a public server, at that time, the server name will be the IP address of that server. But as long as it is in your same computer, you don't have to worry about anything. You just keep it localhost. Then the username. Username is by default there is this root user. In MySQL server you can create different users and you can set passwords to them also, but that thing I'm not going into that direction. By default one user is username, and by default the password is nothing, blank. Okay, and then the connection is new PDO. This is a like standard function, inbuilt function. You don't need to worry about it. Only thing is you specify these details properly, like MySQL host, and this is the server name. This DB name is MyDB. Now see, DB name they have written hard coded is equal to MyDB. Or if you want, in the same note, then what you can do is you can create a variable, say for example DB name, and then you can keep here the name of the database. Now see the name of the database. Do you remember what was the name of our database? I think it was attendance_db. Attendance. I might write the spelling of this attendance word wrong, but don't mind for that. Attendance_db. Let's double check whether this database is there or not. So where do we go? We go to PHP MyAdmin, and then we see attendance_db. This is the name of a database, so that's what we have to type here, attendance_db. So here now, instead of typing mydb, what we'll do is we'll follow the same thing that this they have done here, $server name. So here we have to write the name of the variable that holds the name of the database. So db name. Okay, that's all. And then username is this username, and then the password is whatever you keep in this variable password. And then this try catch block, just to handle exceptional situation. It might happen that actually you give a different server name here which doesn't exist, different wrong username here, so that time it will not be able to make the connection. So to handle those exceptional situation, we use usually in programming world, most of the programming languages offers this feature, try and catch block, or slightly variant feature, but these are known as exception handling. Okay, so try catch. So we'll first try to make a connection, establish a connection to the server if everything is fine. And this line usually will write like so that we can handle it using this try catch block. And if it is fine, if the connection is possible, if the connection is met, then it will display a message connected successfully. Otherwise, it will show you the message something is wrong, connection failed due to this particular reason. So now this is a PHP program actually. You see here, this part of the code is written in PHP tag. It means this is a PHP program. It means this program can be executed by the server. When the client sends a request for this particular program. And how to do that then? Now see here in our files, now if you see here in our file, like what is the structure? Attendance app is the main root folder. Inside that database folder, inside that database.php. Now this is a PHP program that can be executed. Now the question is, how do we execute the program? So you do one thing here, again open the browser and type there localhost. Localhost means this computer, and then you write localhost / and then you type the name of your root folder. Root folder is, in our case, attendance app. This is the root folder, you remember. Inside that root folder we have a folder database. Inside that we have a PHP file, database.php. so this is how, when we write this thing, it means we are sending a request from the client side to the server machine, like this here. Whatever we are typing it here from a client machine's browser, and once we press the enter key, it will send a HTTP request to the server. At this point you might be thinking, so we are not connected with the server through internet, we are like the same computer, right? So that's when you write localhost, it means it will assume like from your computer itself, but it will make an HTTP request to itself, and so for the web server, basically it is the same. It is receiving a HTTP request that is requesting for that particular program, like whatever that here, whatever inside that folder, this particular PHP program I'm asking for, so it will execute that program. Now see here, if we press enter, let's see what happens. If we press enter, you will see this message, connected successfully. Why it is coming so, or from where it is coming? It is coming from here, connected successfully. If I change something here, you will see that if I refresh the page, that thing is also coming. But it is, you might be thinking, okay, that's okay, fine. But is there a situation where I might not get that message connected successfully? Yes, instead of writing localhost, if you write something else, localhost AS, that time that server doesn't exist. So if you refresh the page, then you will see something like, now it's taking some time because it is trying to connect with the server which doesn't exist. At some point of time, I think it will save something, some error message. Yeah, you see, connection failed. It tried maybe a few times there, and then it is saying that something happened, and we know what is that something, right? We specified this name wrong. And anything you specify wrong, it will not work. Like say for example, if we write the database name wrong, say for example, now I'm writing an extra W there, that time also it will not be able to connect with the database properly, and it will show you. See here, immediately it is saying connection failed, unknown database attendance DBW. It means that particular database doesn't exist. So those are things where you might get this error, and that is the advantage of this try and catch block. You see here, every time there is an error, it is showing you that message, and every time it is successful, it will show you this particular message. It is done. Now what basically this step is doing, when you are seeing connected successfully, what step is covered in this diagram? In this diagram is this connection is established. Now once that connection is established, you can think it of like it is a tunnel created. Now on that tunnel, on that connection, you can execute any SQL command you want. Is it so? Yes. Now let's see how to do that. And for that reason, what we'll do is, see here, you will be able to execute an SQL command only when the connection is successful. If the connection is not successful, there is no point of executing a command. I mean, you have not made there's no connection. Obviously there will not be you cannot do anything about it. So when the connection is successful, only then we can think of executing some command. So okay, let's try to do that. Now suppose here we know, like if we're seeing this message, it means the connection is successful. But if the connection is not successful, we'll not do anything. Okay, so we'll be writing the code here. So what code we can write now? So connection is successful. So for that reason, now the next thing is that you want to execute a command. So for that reason, what we will do is you'll first write the command. Say for example, command is equal to I want to create a table. So we'll be writing, see here I'm writing it within these double quotations, create table, say for example table 2, and that's all. And then the these are the key value pair. I mean, like open and close parenthesis, exactly the same command. Say for example, I want one column to be ID, integer, and auto underscore. Now this time you have no auto underscore increment, and then this is also a primary underscore, primary key, like that. Okay, and then put the comma. You can go on typing on the same line, but I'm choosing to type it in a different line. Say ID is done, and some other column, say for example column 2, say for example varchar, and say for example 23. This is just a dummy table I'm creating, so it really doesn't matter much, and that's all. That is the table that we want to create. Say now only writing the command is not enough, you have to execute the command. So for that reason, what you will be doing is you will first create something called as your prepared statement. So for that reason, you will first say declare a variable. So statement is equal to on this connection, which connection it is. Now this is the connection variable here. On this connection, we will be creating a executable statement, basically, which can be executed. Okay, so first connection arrow, then we'll be calling, say, prepare. There is a function prepare, prepare, and inside that we will be passing this command, like whatever it is, the string version of the command, we'll be passing it like that. So we want to execute this, we want to prepare, like we want to create an executable command there. You can think it of like that. These are the standard steps you will be following always, and then you want to execute the command. So now this statement can be executed by calling a another inbuilt function, say execute. That's all. Now see, sometimes, okay, there are different ways of writing this execute command. We will be seeing them in the in the coming part of the video, like in a few minutes, obviously, but for the time being here, right now, one thing you can remember or understand is that executing this command doesn't require any input. So here we are keeping it blank. So statement.execute, basically what we're doing is, first we are writing the string version of the command, then from the string version of the command we are creating an executable, you can think it of like we are creating an executable version of the command by using by calling this prepare, inbuilt prepare function on this connection object. See here, basically this connection is an object. You see, we are creating an object of this class PDO, inbuilt class PDO, and that on that object there is a inbuilt function there, and this is how we call a member function in PHP. This is an object, this is a member function. We are calling it using this arrow symbol. Okay, I know you people know it. So connection, then prepare statement, and basically it is creating an executable command, and that command we can now execute. That's all. That's all. It will execute the command and all. Now, if there is any exceptional situation, it will anyhow will be taken care of by this this cat statement for the time being. Okay, now let's execute this database.php once again and then see what happens. Now I am going there, and again I'm simply refreshing the page, and let's see what happens. It is saying me connected successfully, but the thing is, it didn't say anything about like whether the table was created or not. I think the table was also created. How do we check it? We'll go to this PHP MyAdmin and then we'll refresh this attendance app, attendance DB. We should see table 2 there, and see this table 2 is there luckily. And if we click on this table 2 and then if we click on structure, we'll see exactly the same thing that we specified in that command. ID integer 11, column 2 we called it varchar 23. That's what we specified here, isn't it? That's what we specified here, column 2 varchar 23. So that's how we can execute a command using a PHP or from a PHP program. Now see, once using the same connection, now we can suppose now I have to execute another command. I have to create another table. In that case, I don't have to create the connection once again. On that connection itself, I can reuse that connection and I can execute another statement. I can execute another statement. I can execute another statement like that. I can go on. Now again, before actually proceeding further, let's see what happens if I execute the same file once again. That is, if I request for the same file once again, and in turn I execute this database.php file PHP program one more time, then what happened? What we can expect from here is that you see here the table is already there. The table was now first time when we executed, this table was created, right? Table 2. Now second time if we try to execute it, this table will already be there. That will be a conflict. That will stop the server from creating the table one more time. So it will just throw you an error message, and most probably we'll see the error message here, because we have the same cats block. So we'll see this connection fail message, I guess. Okay, let's see what happens. See here, it is saying you connection successful, connection fail. For some reason, it is showing you connection successful, connection fail. Yes, connection successful was shown because you see here, up to that point, everything was fine. So it showed you connection successful. But at this point, the table, it could not create the table. That is an exceptional situation, and it will throw you an exception. From this point, it will throw an exception. You can think it of that way. And that, since there is only one cats block, the same cats block will handle it, and it will show you connection failed message on the screen, and with some maybe some explanation. Now base table or view already exists 1050 like that. Okay. So instead of doing this, what we can do is that every command now we can execute inside try and cats block. So that is a good idea. So we can write like this try block here, and then we can write the cats block here. Okay, and inside this try block we'll be executing this command, and inside this cats block we'll keep these exception objects the same way. If you don't understand this thing, I mean, for some reason, then don't worry. Yeah, it will work. And connection failed. Instead of now writing connection failed, we'll write like whatever, only the message you can type, or some other message like custom message like table 2 tab 2 not created, or something like that. Okay, so or tab 1 maybe, or tab 2 not created. So this time if we execute, then we will see this connected successfully, tab 2 not created, and this is the reason of the error. So like that. Now if it is not created, we might omit that message, or see here another thing, that the connection successfully is shown, and then I want this message to come on a different line. That will make it more readable, I guess. And let's see if I refresh the page, and then see this other reason is coming on a different line. Okay, we understood now. If we have to create more than one table, then what we have to do? So we just have to, now there is no problem. Then another table we have to create. Basically we'll be copying the same block of code, we'll pasting it, and then we'll change whatever the changes that we want. So for example, we want to call it table 3, table 4, or whatever it is that we can specify, and and done. All of them will be done in a single click. Say for example, just for the sake of an example, let me create table 3 and table 4 also. See, I didn't do anything. I just I copied the same block of code, changed the name of the table. No conflict. The internal structure of the table could be exactly the same. In a MySQL server will not complain like why you are creating the same table 100 numbers of time. It will not object that. Okay. So let's now execute this. But for the first table, again, we are going to get the error. See, for the first one, we are getting the error, but for the rest of them, actually, they're created. You can verify this. You can, like, I can refresh this and you can see tab 2, tab 3, tab 4, all of them are created. But second, this time, if I try to execute for all of them, we'll get this exception message. Okay, now we know how to execute an SQL command from a PHP program. That's done. Now you see here in an application, when we develop this application, there could be multiple different. See here, what I mean by this is that it is not that only one PHP program will, it is not that only one PHP program will have to connect with this MySQL database. It is not like that, right? So in our entire project, there could be, like here, there could be multiple PHP files which might want to actually connect with the MySQL server at different time and perform some operations there. So at that time, you can think it of like, if we take this approach, then what will happen is every time, suppose here we have another 3 different PHP files there, they all want to connect to the database. So every time they want to connect to the database, we have to actually copy this block of code, this connection, up to setting up the connection. Once the connection is established, they can, this part is like, it depends on the PHP file, like what we want to do there after establishing the connection. But the thing is that up to this point, everything is same. I mean, creating the connection, these are the same steps there. So to make use of, to reuse, and see here, obviously, if you have multiple files, you can copy this same block of code and we can paste it everywhere. But there is a problem with that. The thing is, obviously, you know what problem it could be. You see here, if you have to ever change the name of the server, or maybe the name of the database, or maybe anything here, any value from this variable, then you have to go through all those different PHP files and you have to change them. Suppose, just assume that you just want to change the name of this server from localhost to some actual IP address. Then you have to actually go through all those PHP files, and you have to update this server name. If you by mistake miss any one of them, then your project, at some point of time, that will be a problem there, right? It will at least create some inconvenience. Okay, so to overcome that problem, it's a good idea that this connection establishment part we keep in a single place, and whenever we need, we just reuse that block of code. And one very good way of reusing code is by making use of the concept of object-oriented programming. So that's what I'm going to do now. It will take hardly a few minutes there, don't worry. What we are going to do is that we're going to we're going to separate this connection part and then executing the command part in 2 different files. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this flat PHP file sort of to a class definition. So before that, let me delete all these these commands that I wrote. Only keep the minimum part there, like how to create the connection, this thing. Now what I'll do is, inside this PHP now tag, I'll write here class, and I'll call it, say for example, database. I'm giving a name to the class, and open and close parenthesis, and then I'll cut everything from here and I'll paste it here inside this class definition. And now in that, what I'll do is that now server name is localhost, no problem, but I have to give some access specifier here. So let's give it like the access specifier private. I'm again assuming that you people have some basic knowledge of programming. But anyhow, even if you do not have, don't need to worry. If you just follow these things, it will work, and slowly you can understand the actual meaning. And then this public access specifier, public, and then what I want to do actually is this connection, I want to make it public so that from outside the class also I can access it. So I'm making it a different variable now, connection, and by default I want my connection to be, say, nothing or null, or what I do, I can type null, I guess. Connection is by default null. And then here what I want to do is, I cannot do like try and catch directly, I cannot write in a class. If I have to do this part I want to do whenever an object is created of that particular class. Okay, so what I'll do is I will create a constructor here, and the constructor is public, I guess construct up, okay, and function underscore Okay, that's how it is written. Public function underscore con. That is the advantage of using an editor. Even if you do not remember, it will help you. Public function underscore construct and type where is equal to null. That's okay, fine. But if you want, I mean, this part is not that important. You can write it like that. And here we will paste the code like inside. Now this is a function basically. It's a function. This is how we write the constructor function. This function will be called automatically whenever we create an instance of this particular class database. Okay, so why is it showing me these? Okay, now here you see this connection is actually, I'm talking about this object's connection. So don't worry, even if you don't understand, don't worry. You just we are going to use this notation again and again multiple numbers of time. It will make sense at some point of time automatically if it is the first time you're looking at it. But if you have any experience, then I think that is not a problem. Don't worry. That's all that I wanted to tell you. And don't mind if I am like oversaying it. This connection is equal to new PDO this, and here you just have to write now this server name variable doesn't exist, but there exists a server name attribute for this object. So this arrow $this arrow server name, that's how we'll write. Now why did I write it? $this arrow connection. So this arrow server name like that everywhere will be now since it is now not an independent function, it is now a member function of a class, so we cannot directly access the variables like that. We have to make use of this variable or this object. So done. And username and the password, everything is fine. It will create a connection, this arrow, that connection, and then it will set the connection. I mean, on this connection object, it will set these attributes, and if it is successful, then successful, otherwise connection failed. Done. We have created the the class there. Like this is how we can convert it to a class. Now you know that a class is directly executing a class, it doesn't make any sense. So what we'll be doing is we'll be now making use of this class what we have created in a different file, just to check if we can make a connection just by creating an instance of that class or not. Okay, so for that reason what I'll do is I'll create another file here, and let's say we call it create tables or create tables.php. Now this from here actually we'll be creating the tables. Say so create table.php. This is done. Now see this database.php, it only creates a connection, that's all. I mean, it provides the definition of this class database. Whenever we create an instance of this class, then automatically this function will be called, and if the connection is successful, on this connection object we will get the connection, and on that connection whatever it is that we want to do, we can do. Now let's see how to do that. The first thing is we'll be making use of a PHP tag because we're writing some PHP code. And then what we'll do is first thing is that we need to like refer, if you have ever done C programming, that we write like hash include and then standard input output.h. So this is just a way of adding some existing code or including some existing code to the current file that we are writing currently. Okay, so here it is, we have to include this file database.php with our program. So first thing that we'll be doing is we will be declaring a variable, say part, and in that we'll be storing one very specific path that represents the root directory of your application, and that is stored in a global variable, and this is how we can access the global variable. The global variable is $_server document root, and so that gives you the starting root, the starting point from where you can now browse the folders there, the root folder sort of. Then what you have to do is then you can make use of this feature here, require once, and then what you want to do is inside this root folder, and then you specify the path. That is, this is the file that you want to include with your code. And what is the file? Inside that root folder there will be a folder whose name is attendance app. This is the root folder. attendance app, and then inside that you will have another folder database, and inside that you will have, you know, this database.php file. So this is how we include a file with our code. Now got it? Yes. Now the next thing is that we want to create an instance of that database class. So for that reason, again, you have to declare a variable first. Simple. This dollar symbol means we are declaring a variable, and then let's call it, say, db or db object. dbo is, you can call it anything, okay, abc xyz whatever. dbo is equal to, now this is how we create a you know, instance of a particular class, new database. You see here we already have seen new using there, like here, where new PDO. See, that's I said if this is an inbuilt class, that's what, this is a class, we want new PDO or something like that. But this is a class that we wrote, but we want to create an instance of that class. We'll be writing new database. That's all. And the database, now see, we just have created the you know, the database object. Now as soon as we create the object, it should actually, it should execute this constructor function, and as a result it should show us whether the connection is successful or the connection is failed. Okay, let's try this thing. Now when we try that, like see here, we just have created, okay, we didn't call the constructor explicitly. Now we'll refresh this here. Now attendance app, inside that database, and inside that, I think it is not database.php now, it is create tables.php, I guess. Is it create tables.php? Create tables.php. Yes, okay. Now let's see what happens if I press enter. It is showing me connected successfully. See, now every time, now if I have 100 different files here from where I have to connect to the database, I don't have to write this entire block of code. I just have to write, like, include that file and then create an instance of that class. That's all. Automatically we'll get the connection. On that connection we can execute whatever the command that we want to execute. So later on, if we have to change anything about these details, like the name of the you know, server or whatever, database name or whatever, we have to change it only in one place, and automatically it will be reflected everywhere. You got it? You see the advantage? Yes, right. Okay, we have seen now how as soon as we create an instance of this class database, a connection is made. Now on that connection, how to make use of that connection? Let's see. So for example, just for the sake of an example, we want to create a table. Say for example, I want this command to be executed. Say command is create table and tab 32, say for example, or maybe say 44, and you know, it really doesn't mean anything, no? So here ID, and say for example the data type is integer. I am not specifying auto increment, rest of the things I'm not specifying. So I just want to create a table whose name is table 44, and there will be only one column whose data type will be integer. That's all I want to do. I just want to check. Now this statement, this is the query that I want to execute. Then the next step is I have to create the statement. So I'll be creating a executable statement on the connection. Now I need the connection variable, and where the connection variable is, it is, see here, this DBO is an instance of, or an object of this database class, and see, this database class has these members. These four are private members, this is public member. So this, an object can actually access this public member connection, and what that connection you know, attribute is holding, it is holding the connection, actual connection object. So what I'll do is here I'll actually make use of this object DBO. On that there is this connection attribute. On that I want to call this prepare function, and this prepare function, I want it to create an executable command from this variable, from this string represented or held by this variable C. That's all. And then I want to execute it. So dollar this statement and then execute. Okay, this is the command that I want to execute. That's all. Before executing it, let me tell you one thing here, that if you want to make use of the connection now, that way this echo statement, we have to, you know, we have to comment this echo statement. Okay, that you just have to follow me as it is, that I said. Now let's see here what happens. Suppose you just accept this line as it is, as I am saying that you have to comment this as if this line is not there. You have to remove that line from here so that everything works fine. Now what we're doing is we are creating the connection, and once it is done, then we want to execute this command. So for that reason, writing this command, then preparing the executable version of the command, and then ultimately executing the command. So if everything is fine, then if we execute it for the first time, the table should be created. Yes, from the second time onwards, this will be an exception. And it might throw, now since we're not handling it properly, it will show you the error message on the screen. But anyhow, let's execute it for the first time and check what happens if I execute it. I don't expect to see any message on the screen. Okay, no message, because we removed that connected successfully. Second time, if I try to do this, it will throw me an error message. See, uncode PDO exception, base table view already exists. You know what is the reason behind this. But just to make sure that the table is created, you see it, attendance DB, as soon as I refresh, you can see table 44 is created, where there is only one column there. You see, ID is the column and nothing is specified, like whether it is primary, what is the primary key, or what are the other things. Because this is just a dummy table that I wanted to show you, like how you can make use of the connection. Now you know everything, actually all the details. Now it is time to actually create those 7 tables. Since you know everything, let me now type the code for creating those 7 tables, and once it is done, I'll come back. Okay, then these are the 7 tables we had to create. Let's just go through it if there is any mistake. ID is the primary key, roll number is unique, name is okay, fine, and that's all. And then course details, ID, code is the unique key, and title and credit. Okay, that seems good. And for these faculty details, ID is the primary key, username is unique, name of the faculty, and password. That seems good. And then session details, ID is the primary key, year and term, those are okay, and then unique year and term. It means the combination of year and term, they should not be duplicated. That is, for example, in 2022, if there is a spring semester already, there should not be another entry for 2022 spring. Just to avoid that, we are making year and term unique combination. The combination should be unique. And it seems good. And then course registration table, where we have student, course, and session, they participate, all of them will become the primary key. That's why I'm writing, see here, if you have to specify more than one keys as a primary key, then you will specify it in this way. Had it been only one key, the primary key, then we could have written it directly. This is the shorthand notation. But if it is more than one key, then this is the way that you will specify primary key, and the combination of all these three keys will be the primary key of this table course registration. Similarly, course allotment, where instead of student, faculty will participate, rest of the things are same, so I guess it's okay. And then attendance details, where faculty, course session, student, all of them will participate. Along with that, on date and status, two other columns are added. And see here, the data type of on date is date. That is an SQL data type. You can use it. It has advantages. Yes, certainly some people can manage it by just writing on date. Data type is varchar string. That is also fine, but that gives you certain advantages. We might see it in the coming, like when we move forward. Now the primary key is a combination of all these four participating tables primary key plus on date also. Now see here, adding that on date as part of the primary key, it will restrict a teacher. I mean, the restriction will be something like that. A teacher for a certain faculty for a particular course in a particular session, he or she cannot take on the same day, he cannot take two attendance, or two sessions he cannot conduct. That is sort of a restriction. Just to make the process a bit easier, we'll proceed it that way. But if you want the faculty to take multiple classes on the same day for the same batch of students, then you have to change something here. But for the time being, as far as our requirement is concerned, we will assume that a faculty will maximum take only one class for one batch for in a particular day. However, since this faculty ID is there, and it might happen that actually two different faculties are conducting for the same batch, same course, they can take the classes. That is not a problem. But for one faculty, only one class on a particular day, because this on date we are making as part of the primary key. Hope you people understand that point. Okay, but this point I'm mentioning just to make you people like realize the point that if you want to upgrade the project later on, you can consider this point here. Okay, now let's see after what happens when we execute these commands there. So for that, what we will do is we'll simply execute this create tables.php file, and let's see what happens. For that, we'll write here create tables.php and then we'll press enter. Let's see what comes. So it says student details created, course details created, faculty created, session, course allotment is all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tables are created. Let's go to MySQL PHP MyADMIN and then you check whether the tables are created or not. We have attendance details, course 4, 5, 6, 7. All the 7 tables are created. Let's check them. Student details, see the structure. We have ID, roll number, name. Roll number is the unique key. And similarly for faculty details, you see the structure, ID, username is the unique key, name and the password. And session details, if you see the structure, you will see ID, year and term. Both of them are combinedly as the primary key. And after that, what left? Course details. Code is the primary key. Code is the unique key, ID is the primary key, and all of these IDs are auto increment field. It means automatically, even if we do not specify, it will be automatically incremented. And then you see the tables for this relationship. So one is course registration. If we see the structure, we'll see student ID, course ID, session ID, all of them combinedly, they are the primary key. Similarly, course allotment will have faculty ID instead of student ID. Rest of the things are same. And attendance details here will have all the 4 primary keys, faculty, course, session, and student, plus on date. And then there is this status. Okay, now what we did now is we just have created these tables like student details tables, course details, faculty, session, course registration, course allotment, and attendance table. One thing at this point, you realize that our application, whatever it is that we're going to build, our application will it will only update the content of this attendance table. That's all it will do. However, our application will assume that there are some records already there in student details table, course details table, faculty details, session details, course registration, and course allotment. Okay, so for that reason, what we will do is, since we are assuming that there are some data already in these tables, the first thing that we are going to do is we are manually going to put some records there in these six tables. Okay, just for testing purpose. Like when we proceed further, it will help us to test the application whether it is working or not. Okay, now you might be thinking, why I have not created any user interface to interact with this table or to update this table and all. So those functions are not directly related to the attendance as far as we are concerned with the attendance app. Okay, but if what you can do is that you can make this project full-fledged by adding user interface for student details. That is, you allow us you can upload student records into the system, and you can go on adding new students into the system. You can go on adding new courses into the system, go on adding new faculties into the system, new sessions into the system. For all of them, you can create different user interfaces. That I'm leaving as your own work. Like if you want, then you can use, you can do those things. But the thing is that if you understand how we develop this attendance page and the login page, then developing the pages for these other tables, they're going to be more or less the same work, and it will be good exercise for you if you want to do that, or if you like attempt to do those things by yourself. Okay, having said so, now the next task will be to insert some records in these tables. Now see, the student details, course details, faculty details, and the session details. These tables are independent from one another. So directly we can insert some records into these 4 tables. Let's first do that part, and then I'll show you how to insert records in this course registration and course allotment tables. Okay, first step will be to insert a few records in these 4 tables. For that, again, I'll be writing a few lines of codes. Let me first finish writing those codes, and then I'll explain you a bit like how that code is going to work. Okay, let's do it. Okay, that's all, I guess. Insert into student. Now let's see the code here. Insert into student details, ID, roll number, and name. And then see here, these are the keys against which we want to insert the records, and the values are ID is 1, roll number is this, and name is this. You see here, ID is an integer. That's why you're not writing it within any quotation. If it is a numeric value, you'll be writing it without any quotation. But if it is a string or varchar, then you will be putting it inside this, inside this single quotation there. Okay, so this is the roll number, this is the name. This is the roll number, this is the name, this is the roll number, this is the name. And see here, in a single command itself, we are inserting more than one record. See, we want to insert in this table against these columns, and these are the values. This is the first row, this is the second row. Each and every rows are separated by these comma. So that way we are inserting 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. We are specifying the IDs automatically, explicitly. Although if we do not specify, automatically they will take some value. Just to have some greater control, we are specifying, okay, these are the IDs that we want there. Okay, so that's all then. So this will insert these 24 records into the table. So it means we'll have we'll have 24 students there. Similarly, I'm doing the same thing. Faculty details, ID, username, password, and the name. ID, username, password, and name. ID, username is, say, for example, RCB. For all of them, I'm keeping the same password 1 2 3, and these are the names of the faculties, say. Okay, so there are like 6 faculties into the system right now. Okay, and means if we execute this, 6 faculties will be inserted. And see here, this is the command that we want to execute, and then executing the command, the steps are same. First thing is we'll be creating an executable command out of this string version that we are storing in S, and then we'll try to execute it. If there is any exceptional situation, then we'll be displaying it like, without actually knowing the reason of that. We will simply display, okay, duplicate entries. Otherwise, if everything happens smoothly, nothing will be displayed on the screen. Okay. And that's all. That similarly, session details also, ID, year, and term. So I'm inserting here 2 records, 2023 spring, 2023 autumn semester. Okay, and that's all. And insert into course details, I'm trying to insert here 6 records, like 6 courses. These are the name of the course and code of the course and the credit of the course, title, code, and credit of the courses. So each, like, this is one row, another row, another row, another row, like that. So that's all. So these, if we execute now this course details table, then it should insert all these records into those 4 tables, This one, this one, this one, and this one. Let's see now. Okay, let me refresh this page and let's see what happens. Student details, so if we re-execute the page, then what it will do is, see, the same file contains the code for the creation of these tables also. But since those tables are already there, it might show like this table not created, this table not created first, and then it might show the rest of the thing. So let's see what happens actually if I refresh the page. See, student details not created. Don't worry about it. And you know why they are coming as not created, because those tables are already there. So not created. Other than that, no exception, no error we are seeing. We can expect that those records are actually, inserted into the tables properly. Let's verify them. So I'm going to PHP MyAdmin and attendance DB. There we say, for example, student details table. If I now click on this table, you will see this command, whenever I click on a table, automatically it executes select star from student details. It is get all the records from that table, and you can see that these records are properly inserted. 24 students records automatically inserted. And then session details, there should be 2 records there, like 1 and 2 records are there. Then faculty details, I guess 5 or 6 faculties. Yes, these are the faculties, the ID, username, and username, name, and the password. For all of them, for the time being, I'm keeping the password as the same. And what else? In course details table, you can see, okay, ID, code, title, and the credit of the course. So these basic tables are like populated now. We have inserted records into the table. Now, what about these relationship tables? Say, for example, if we consider course registration table. Here, if you see the structure in the course registration table, whatever the entries, we just cannot simply insert some records there, right? Because if I like mention one student, so I have to write the proper ID of the student, proper course ID of the proper course ID of the course, and the proper session ID. So those things should be proper. Randomly, I cannot fill the table with some random numbers. See, this table will contain rows that will have 3 numbers in each row there, like student ID, course ID, and the session ID. But those numbers are not some random numbers. They should actually, those numbers should actually point to some valid records in the student table, course table, and the session table. So those things we have to take care of. Now let's see how actually with the help of programming we can solve this problem. We can come up with a scheme, and then we can write some code, and it will automatically, maintain all these consistency, and it will populate the tables with some valid records. Let's see how to do that. Okay, let's do it. Okay, that's all, I guess. Let's see what am I trying to do. First thing is, if any record already there in the table, delete them. So first thing is this course registration table. If it has any record, we'll be deleting it. I have written a separate function for it, clear table. The task of this function is just to delete all the records from the given table. See here, clear table. This I'm passing just to get the connection, and this is the name of the table. Delete from whatever the table name it is. And then now you see here, I'm trying to execute the command in a different way here. You see delete from, and then I'm writing colon tab name. When you write colon and something, it means it is a placeholder. It is not exactly, it is not the input value there. This is just a placeholder, or you can think it of it's a variable. And then we are creating a prepared statement or executable statement for this string. Now what happens is, when you create the executable statement, then you can execute that executable statement with different input to the variable. You see here, tab name is a variable. Now you can execute this statement. Now see here, the input is actually an array, and that array contains key value pairs. Like this is the key and this is the value. This is known as an associative array in PHP. So for this key, this is the value. That's all. See, for this input, I want to specify the value, whatever the user passes here. So basically, ultimately, the command will be executed as delete from, say the table name is ABC, then delete from ABC. Next time, if you pass a different table name, say for example, XYZ, then it will be delete from XYZ. Okay, so that's all. Now that table will be cleared. If any records are there, then all the records, first it will delete from that table. And then what am I doing is I'm trying to execute this command, insert into course registration for student ID, course ID, session ID, and the values are, again, see, instead of specifying here some direct values, what am I trying to do is I'm creating three variables here: the first variable, second variable, third variable, and then I'm creating an executable statement. And then this is the logic, like how do we get the records. So I iterate over all the 24 students. There are 24 students in the database, as you have seen here in our student table. In our student details table, we initially populated the table with 24 students. So these are the 24 students. So basically we have to select one ID, the ID of the student. So I know all the IDs are from 1 to 24. So 1 to 24, I'll iterate over all of them. Then j equal to 0 to 3. What am I trying to do is, a student will choose maximum 3 random courses. Why am I saying maximum, not exactly 3? Because 3 times it will generate a random number from 1 to 6. These 1 to 6 random numbers are the course IDs. You know that, right? So whatever it is, it will be selected, and it will try to insert these 3 combinations: session 1, course ID, whatever it is selected, and the student ID, whatever the value of I is. Now see, when it repeats this process 3 times, this for loop will be executed 3 times. Okay, so when it repeats this process 3 times, and it might happen that in 2 iteration it generates the same random number. This is a random number, right? So if it generates the same random number, then what it will happen is it will violate the the primary key constraint, because for the same student, because these 3 times I will remain same for the same student. If you happen to generate the same random number, then the same course it will try to take for the same session. So it will be an exception. So that exception will be handled silently. Nothing will happen. Only thing is that row will not be inserted. So that's how the maximum number of courses will be 3, but minimum could be only 1. Like every time it generates all the 3 attempts, it generates the same random number. That might happen. So in that case, only 1 course will be taken by the student, but the maximum is 3, minimum is 1. Now I repeated the same block of code here for session 2 also. Here I hard coded session as 1. Here I'm hard coding session as 2. Okay, since there are only 2 sessions, I didn't apply any logic. I simply copied the code and did it. Now the same thing I have to do now for the student, for the course allotment also. See, in course registration is one student will select maximum 3 courses. Okay, and in a student, in course allotment, one faculty out of, now not 1 to 24, from out of 1 to 6. There are 6 faculties we have inserted. So out of 1 to 6, all these faculties will now choose randomly 2 courses from the available courses. You see here 1 to 6. So this time not 1 to 24, 1 to 6 now. Now 2 attempts it will get, and random number from 1 to 6 still, because 6 courses are there. And if it happens to generate the same random number twice, only one course will be, taken by that particular faculty, but maximum 2, minimum 1 here. So faculty ID is whatever this iteration I is, and then CID is whatever the random number generated, and session ID hard coded 1 for session 1. For session 2 also it will repeat the same thing. Again, it will generate random number and it will take it. So if I execute this block, this create table program now, or this file now, then it should insert some record into the course registration and course allotment tables. Now let's see whether it does that thing or not. I'll go here and I'll refresh this page, create tables.php. Now let's see what happens if I press enter. Nothing has come actually. Let's see whether it inserted the records there or not. Okay, so I'll go to now, say for example, course registration. So I'm here, course registration, I'm clicking on it. Now you can see there are some records are inserted. Student ID, course ID, session ID. Student number 1 has taken in session 1, course ID 1. This is how, if you see the column, the rows, then it doesn't make much sense. I mean, you do not know whether these numbers are properly, aligned with some actual records in the other table or not. So, but anyhow, at least we can see that, some rows are inserted into the table. Course allotment table, if you see now, for one faculty, faculty 1 has taken these courses in these sessions, like that. It seems like these tables are populated with some numbers only, but are they really meaningful? Can we do something meaningful out of these numbers, like course registration table, course allotment table? If I see the course allotment table, I'll see only some numbers there, right? But how these informations are meaningful? I'll show you some example here. You can spend a few minutes here. It will give you some idea about the things that we're doing. So for example, what we want to do is our queries could look something like this. Let's say, for example, let's say we want to do something like this. Say there is a student, just assume that there is a student CSB 21001, this student, and we want to know in 2023 spring, okay, in 2023 spring, or in any given semester or session, that particular student, what are the courses that student has taken? What are the courses this particular student has taken in this semester? I want to know the course code of all the courses. Say for example, CS 101, maybe CS 535, like that. I want to see the list of all courses taken by this particular student on this particular session. How do you do that? How do you get this information? So let's see how to write the query for this. Okay. What we will do is we'll go here now, select star from, let me keep it like star from. Now what I'll do is, whatever it is that I'm going to do now, it is known as the join operation. Select star from student underscore details, say as student details, comma, course underscore details as course details, comma, session underscore details as session details or session. Okay. Okay, let me bring myself here. Okay, select star from course details. These are some sort and name that I'm giving to these tables. Student details, course details, I'll be calling it further as course CD, and session details I'll be referring to it as, say for example, student session details as CSD. Okay. From this, comma, another table that I'll bring here, comma, course registration, okay, as, say for example, course registration CRD, okay, that giving some sort of notation, comma, this is this. Now we'll be writing the where clause, where course registration details dot student underscore ID. There is, in course registration table, there is a student ID column. If you remember, that student ID should be same as the student details student ID or student details ID. Okay, this and what we'll do is the same thing will be, now we are sort of merging all these different tables. Course registrations, course ID should be the course details course ID, course CD's ID, okay, and at the same time, course registrations session ID should be the session details ID here, like Okay, and I'm just showing you how to do a join operation, although I'm not explaining you the details of join, but this is how we work. You know, if you want to know the details, then you can refer to some websites like W3 Schools, Gigs for Gigs, or any online resources. Okay, session ID is equal to these, and this is equal to this. I guess all of them we are getting right. Now the final thing is on what basis we want to do the filter. And now you see student details dot roll number is equal to whatever it is the roll number that we are looking for. Say for example CSB 21001. If that roll number is there, it will show you some records. And not only the roll number we want to filter, at the same time we want to filter the session also. Like, and how do we specify the session? We want to specify the session like year and term, because I'm saying here 2023 spring, so that also will be specifying. Say here, where here, and session details, you see here this part here, and session details year is equal to 2023. That's a number, so I'll be writing 2023, and this SESD dot term is equal to, say, spring or autumn semester. Say spring semester. That's all. Now if I execute this command, then let me copy this. I might do some mistake, so if I do any mistake, I'll edit it. Okay, now first let's execute this command and see what happens. What are things it displays on the screen? Let's see. I click on go, and it's showing me an error, unknown column sd dot roll number, roll underscore number it should be. So I will edit it. Where it is, course ID this where this roll underscore number is equal to this and this. Let's see. I'll click on go. Done. It is showing me some results here, like lots of columns are being shown. Let's filter these columns now. That's how do we do that? Instead of writing the star, we'll be specifying what are the columns we are interested in. We are interested in student details, roll number, and we are interested in we are interested in student details, roll underscore number, and we are interested in course details, course underscore code. Course details means this thing's code. This student, this is the code. That's all we are interested in. Say, let's see what happens. So if I now execute this command, we'll be seeing a clear output. This student has taken 321 and 432 in the spring semester. Okay, like suppose if we now want to know in autumn semester what are the courses he has taken, then what we'll do is we'll, instead of writing the spring, will be you are previously saved query, click on auto save to this. Okay, we can write there autumn semester, or let's see in the year 2023 what are the courses the student has taken. Okay, and when we do that, in the result we might want to see the session term and session year. So I'll be writing here SES this thing, session details dot term, dot year, and this dot term. So this will tell me, okay, this particular student, what are the courses he or she has taken in the year 2023, irrespective of any session. It will show you all the sessions and the courses. Let's see what happens. What is the output that we get if we write something like this? We're getting it like this. The same student, roll number is same. The same student has taken these different courses. And see, 2023 autumn, he has taken 3 courses. In spring, he has taken 2 courses. And these are the course details. See, the CO321 he has taken in autumn semester also, and in spring semester also. So that's how we can get the information by performing this join operation. Now this operation, this thing I told you, because whenever we are developing an application like this, we'll be using join operation quite heavily. So if you're not very familiar with it, then I suggest like you spend some time on it, because it is quite useful and it is quite easy actually. Okay. You will understand it in just one go. Maybe 1 hour you have to spend and you will understand it completely. You can refer to sites like Gigs for Gigs or W3 Schools like that. Those are good sites where you can get quick and direct like resources there. Okay, anyhow, having said so, now we know that our tables are filled properly with some data from where we can get information, readable, meaningful information. Okay, so although these course registration tables and course allotment table, they seems it seems like they contain some numbers only, but those numbers are meaningful numbers, right? So this is how we can get the information. Now, same if just in the same line, let me spend another 2 minutes here. If now you want, instead of like what are the courses that particular student has taken in that particular year, suppose we are interested in knowing like what are the courses that particular faculty has taken in that particular year. So here, only thing that you have to change is this student details. Instead of writing student details, we'll be writing here faculty details, and everything is same. I can call faculty details as SD, that is not a problem. Okay, but the thing is, now faculty doesn't have any roll number, so we might want to know the name of the faculty. What is the name of the faculty? What is the code? In which year? In which term? Everything fine. And then when we do course registration, now it is not course registration details, it is course allotment table. Course allotment. See where I'm doing the changes. Let it be CRD only, no problem. Course allotment table now this course allotment table do not have student ID, it has faculty ID, and sd.id refers to actually sd is now faculty details, so faculty details ID, that's okay, fine. Then this course ID is this, okay, fine. Session ID is this, fine. And the roll number, the faculty doesn't have a roll number. Now when we want to set the faculty, we have to give the username. Now by username only you can specify. So faculty details dot user underscore name is, say for example, RCB. I'm not sure if the RCB is there or not, but let's see what happens if we execute this command. Okay, let's click on go. Yeah, RCB is there. Ramcharan Baisya. Code is this. So this faculty has taken in autumn semester 1 course, spring semester 2 courses. I said, maximum 2, minimum 1. So that's what happening here. Okay, and if I give a different username, say for example, instead of this, say for example, there is one, I guess, Perl. So let's see what happens if I give Perl and I click on go. Where is the go button? Oh, sorry. I click on go. And see, this Paul has taken in autumn semester 2 courses, spring semester 1 courses. Both these two courses are different in that particular semester. See here, we can now, like I think you should now get the confidence of like how you can query those tables manually to get information. Now, rest of the things are like when we proceed further, what we'll do is we'll do the same thing. Only thing is that now we'll use some PHP program to actually execute these commands on the SQL server and return this useful information to the client machine. And on the client machine, what we'll do is we'll use some client-side scripting languages like JavaScript, and we'll use CSS and HTML to display these information in a proper, like nice way. That's all that we do actually. Okay, then let's now proceed further.